Hey guys, it's me. Alright, you ready? Today is Tuesday. You are doing 10.2. Factoring trinomials of the form x squared plus bx plus c. Okay? Alright, so if you recall from 10.1, an example, you were given this, you were factoring out common monomials, or with a monomial, blah, blah, blah. Okay, remember that? And then you're finding greatest common factors. This would have been 9, pulling out 9 for each of those, x, 1x for each of those, and 1y for each of those. And then 36 divided by 9 is 4. X squared divided by x is x. Y divided by y cancels out. Plus 9 divided by 9 is 1. X divided by x cancels out. Y3 divided by y1 is y2. Minus 27 divided by 9 is 3. X divided by x cancels out. Y divided by y cancels out. Alright, so that was yesterday. Today's going to be a little bit different. Okay? You are factoring, I'm rewriting the title there, trinomials, x, in this format. Notice the x, this format has to always be used. So everything you do you need to make sure it's in this format. That is opposite of FOIL. Y'all remember FOIL? What we're doing is the opposite of it. Okay, remember you were given, with FOIL, you're given this. Right? Okay, and then you did first. Remember this? First, in fact I should do in red. Outside. Remember this? You're multiplying. Inside. And then last. Remember that? Okay, well this is the opposite of that, but you're still doing it in that format. Okay, so step 1, you write factors of the first term. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do is write factors of the first term. Remember, first term, like this right here, would be the first term. That's trinomial. So there's going to be 3 terms. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so you're going to write the factors for the first term. Step 2, find factors of last term, whose sum is second term. Okay, so you're going to find factors of the last term, like right here or this one, whose sum, meaning when added, is the second term. Don't worry, I got you. We're going to do a ton of examples. Okay? A ton of examples. Oh, by the way, I think Christian doesn't like my face getting too close to the screen. I think I saw that in a meme somewhere with y'all, so I'll be sure to back away. Alright, just kidding, Christian. Alright, you check by FOIL. Okay? Alright. One little bit here. If there is no solution, then it's prime. Now, First, I apologize for telling y'all on Monday's assignment that there were 3 prime when there's really 2. I accidentally looked at an odd number. Because there's a lot of work involved in this stuff right here, I do not typically assign prime. Because you'll be sitting there working and working and working and working and working and working, and it'll be prime. And I have to tell you, I haven't had a student yet that doesn't get really, really mad. And knowing this wonderful class, I don't want, the computer or chair to be thrown through the window or something like that. Oh, screen door. Screen door. Y'all know what I'm talking about. So, I'm probably not going to assign any prime, so don't even worry about that. I will definitely let you know. Okay? All right, so let's go ahead and let's start on examples. I'm going to turn the page. Yeah, we don't want to be the screen door guy. All right, so to open your books to page 411. There you go, 411. One thing you need to know, write in descending order first. All right, number 1. It says factor if the trinomial will not factor right prime. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. I'm only going to give you ones that do factor. Maybe some examples are going to be prime, but no homework. I don't want y'all to sit there and waste your time on that. Okay, so number 1 is a squared plus 8a plus 15. Okay, your answer has to look like this. Remember, back in the last chapter, you would be given this and told to use the FOIL method to get this. But now we're starting with this and we're moving to this. Okie dokie? All right, so remember, this is your first, this is going to be your last. So your first would be like right here. If we're doing first in FOIL. So what times what is going to give you a squared? Think about that. Now, if this is confusing already, you need to pause, step away, and then come back and rewind and do it again. Rewind. I'm old. Whatever you call it. Okay. So what times what? Remember, this is first. Gives me a squared. A times a gives me a squared. Okay? Now, that's the easy one. The first one is typically always easy. It's the last that's really tough. Okay? Because you got to find what it's this part that's tough. These two, this is your last. When multiplied is going to give you 15, but when added is going to give you the inside. Watch. For your last number, it needs to be when multiplied gets you here, but when added gives you 8. So what 2 numbers do you think can get you 15? Well, watch what I'm writing down. And yes, some of you that don't like to write notes, if you're taking notes or whatever, that's fine. If you're not, that's fine. But on your homework, I strongly suggest you do what I'm about to do. You need to list all of them because there's so many possibilities, and your book will try to trick you. So, all the ways to get 15. You can have 3 times 5. That gives you 15. 5 times 3, and yes, you need to reverse it like that. 1 times 15. 15 times 1. And remember, by the way, we're doing number 1, so it's going to be easier than the rest. Okay, and you could even have -3 times -5 gives you 15. Oh, yes. -5 times -3 gives me 15. -1 times -15 gives me positive 15. And -15 times -1 gives me positive 15. Now, do you see what I'm talking about? You really need to make sure that, because sometimes they get hard, and you need to be able to figure, it could be weird possibilities, the negatives and stuff like that when they get harder. Now, which of these, when added, give you 8? Does -15 and -1 give you 8? No. Does -1 and -15 give you positive 8? No. Does -5 plus -3 give you positive 8? No. That gives you -8. Same with this one. Does 15 plus 1 give you 8? No. Does 5 plus 3 give you 8? Yep. 5 plus 3 gives me 8. And, 3 plus 5 gives me 8. So guys, let me show you. Either one of these will work in this slot. For this one, it doesn't matter. Okay? It does not matter. But when multiplied, it gives you the last one. When added, it gives you the middle one. See that? When multiplied, it's going to give me the last. If you add the same numbers, they give you the middle one. It's like a mystery. So then I'm just going to go with the top one, plus 3 and plus 5. It could be either one for this particular one. Not always. Sometimes they're going to be very specific. So any one of those. Now, to check, let's do it this first one. A plus 3 times A plus 5. Do the FOIL thing. A times A is A squared. A times 5 is 5A. 3 times A is 3A. And 3 times 5 is 15. We can combine our like terms, and we get A squared plus 8A plus 15. Guys, and so it checks. Okay? Listen to me. And I hope some of your parents are listening too. I need y'all to check. I really do. On this, I know y'all not going to, but I'm telling you now, you cannot go wrong if you go back and FOIL it out, and if you get a different answer and you're like, oh man, I must have made a mistake somewhere. I will tell you, the 9th graders that had me will probably tell you. I don't know if Andrew will, but anyway, checking it will really save your life on these. Okay, so make sure you do that. All right, let's move on to another one. Like I said, I got a lot of examples to do, so that should help explain what I'm trying to say here, since I'm not with you. All right, number 3. I have A squared minus 4A plus 3. Okay, remember, this is my first, this is my last. This is that inside part, okay? So, I would suggest you go ahead and write your parentheses. Make sure you're doing this in pencil, because you may put them in here, check, and then it's wrong. A lot of my students, they don't like doing this. They just start doing trial and error. And that's going to be frustrating for a lot of y'all. This is going to be a frustrating section. This chapter is, okay? But y'all have to learn it. State says you do. Okay, so we're going to be doing that FOIL again. All right, the easiest one is this first one. What times what is going to give me A squared? A. a times a, FOIL, gives me a squared. Now we got to figure out the bottom. The two last ones and the middle. All right, so over here we're looking at 3. This is a -4. So for the last number, we got to write down all the ways that you can get a +3 when you multiply. But you also have to be able to get a -4 when you add. See what I'm talking about there? Okay, so what are all the ways to get a +3? 1 times 3 is 3. 3 times 1 is 3. You can do -1 times -3. That gives you a +3. And -3 times -1 gives you a +3. Now, which of these, so all of these can be used to get the last number, correct? You could use any combination to get that one. But when added, what gives us a -4? Well, 1 plus 3 gives us a +4. Cross that one out. 3 plus 1 gives us a +4. Cross it out because we're looking for a -4. -1 plus -3 gives me a -4. And then same here, -3 plus -1 gives me a -4. So either one of those would work in this situation. Okay? Now, you're not always going to have two choices. Later on, you're going to only really have one to choose from. Okay? All right. So we can choose either one of these to put in there. And I'm going to choose the first one, -1 and -3. Because when they are multiplied, you get a +3. But when they're added, they get a -4. So let's check. We're going to check. So a times a is a squared. A times -3 is -3a. -1 times a is -1a. And -1 times -3 is a +3. Combine our like terms, and I have a squared minus 4a plus 3. That checks. So then this is my correct answer. Okay? See, this part right here is kind of tricky because you got to find what when multiplied gives you that last term, but when added gives you the middle term. All right. Number 5. We have b squared plus b minus 20. Now, if we do not have a number here, what do we pretend is there? A 1. All right, so here's my first term. There's my last one. Go ahead and write your parentheses. So the first thing we're doing is this. What this number or letter times that one. So what times what gives me b squared? B times b gives me b squared. Now we got to figure out what times what gives me -20, but when added gives me a +1. Okay? All right, so over here, don't forget FOIL. Over here we're going to do that. We're working on the last term there. So what are all the ways that I can get -20? I can do -1 times +20. That gives me a -20. I can switch it around. I can do +20 times -1. Gives me -20. I can do negative 20 times a positive 1. That gives me negative 20. And we can reverse that. Okay, now what are other ways? A positive 10 times negative 2. That gives me negative 20. You can flip it. And yes, later on you need to do that. Or you can have a negative 10 times a positive 2. Okay, are there any other ways of getting negative 20? Negative 5 times positive 4. You can flip that. Or a negative 4 and a positive 5. Those are all the ways that when multiplied will give you the last number. Okay? But now we got, okay, and we got that down. We don't know which one though, because we now got to find which one when added. If we change this to an addition sign, which one of these pairs when added gives you a positive 1? All right, so let's look. If I added these two together, negative 1 plus 20, does that give me a positive 1? Nope. So that doesn't. Negative 20 plus positive 1, does that give me a positive 1 answer? Nope. How about 10 plus negative 2? Well, that gives me 8, so that's not going to help me there. And how about negative 10 plus 2? That gives me negative 8. I'm looking for positive 1. Okay, what about this? Negative 5 plus 4. Well, that gives me negative 1, but I'm looking for positive 1. So here, negative 4 plus 5. That gives me a positive 1. Same with here. So these two are the pairs that I could choose from. Okay? And it really doesn't matter which one. I'm going to go for the first one, negative 4 and positive 5. Okay, we're going to check on that. So b times b is b squared. B times 5 is 5b. Negative 4 times b is negative 4b. And negative 4 times 5 is negative 20. Combine your like terms and you get b squared plus 1b minus 20. This one matches with this one. They check, so therefore this is your answer. Okay. Told y'all this stuff was weird. Alright, so yeah, I've got a few more. Alright, let's look at number 9. X squared plus 7x plus 4. Have your parentheses. We now know that x times x is going to give us x squared. So we know what goes in the first. Now we got to figure out what, when multiplied, gives us 4, but when added gives us 3. 7. And they're all positive, so we don't have to worry about the whole negative and stuff. 4 times 1, 1 times 4. 2 times 2, that gives us 4, 4, 4. What if I added 4 plus 1? Does that give me 7? Nope, it gives me 5. What about 2 plus 2? What does that give me? That gives me 4. That does not give me 7. So guess what? This is prime. No combinations can give me positive 7. All right, let's do another one. All right, look at, let's see, that was number 9. Let's look at number 11. X squared minus 9x plus 20. All right, I'll go ahead and tell you this is not prime. Let's go ahead and do our parentheses. And our first term, this times this is going to give us x squared. So what times what gives us x squared? Yep, x. Okay, so the first one's easy. Now we got to figure out this last one. Two numbers that when multiplied give me 20, but when added give me negative 9. So right there, can we even do like 4 times 5? That'll give me 20, but if I add them, I'm not going to get a negative. So you really should by now start concentrating on, well, I need to get in the negative numbers. Yeah, you should, because look here. You can, all of that, like 10 times 2, all of this is going to, when added, is just going to give you positive numbers. And we're looking for negative 9. But these are all the ways to get 20. So let's look at that too. Okay, now let's start looking at some of the negatives. Okay, negative 4 times negative 5, that'll give me a positive 20. When added, negative 4 plus negative 5, what does that give you? Gives you negative 9. Look at that. Already we found it. So that's what I'm saying. When you're doing these and you're trying it out, over here off to the side, add them together to see. Then you won't have to keep going. Okay, so now we know we can stop there and just write that down. Because look, if I did negative 2 times negative 10, that'll give me a positive 20, but when added, that's going to give me a negative 12. So see, this works. It could be negative 5 and negative 4, you know, got a choice of 2. Okay, so let's check this. FOIL, x times x is x squared. X times negative 5 is negative 5x. Negative 4 times x is negative 4x. And negative 4 times negative 5 is positive 20. Combine your like terms, and that's a negative 9x plus 20. Yep, they check. So there is your answer. Now, if this is still a little confusing, by all means, go back and look again. Okay? All right. (21) a squared minus 14ab minus 72b squared. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and do my parentheses. We do know that a times a gives us a squared, so we're done. But look at this. That's pretty ugly. And it's a negative, and that's a negative 14. See, I told you it starts getting kind of crazy here. All right, so for the last number, what are all the ways that I can get negative 72? Not positive 72, but negative. We can do 1 times negative 72. That'll give you negative 72. But when added, 1 plus negative 72, does that give us a negative 14? No. So what about negative 9 times positive 8? That gives us a negative 72. But when added, That gives us a negative 1. Negative 9 plus 8 is a negative 1. All right? If I did negative 8 times positive 9, that's going to give me a negative 72. But when added, I get a positive 1, because negative 8 plus 9 gives a positive 1. Negative 8 plus 9 gives you a positive 1. We're looking for negative 14. So we have to keep figuring it out. 36 times negative 2. See what I'm saying? This is going to be challenging. That gives us negative 72. If we add those, 36 plus negative 2, that gives us 34. Does that give us negative 14? Nope. How about negative 4 times 18? That gives us negative 72. If you add those, negative 4 plus 18, you get positive 14. We're getting closer. We need a negative 14. That's a positive 14. So if we make the 18 negative and the 4 positive, we get a negative 72, and negative 18 plus 4 is negative 14. So we have ourselves a winner. Yep, it's going to be that intricate. So then negative 18 and positive 4. We can do our check. A times A is A squared. A times 4 is 4A. Negative 18 times A is negative 18A. And negative 18 times positive 4 is negative 72. Combine your like terms. I get A squared minus 14A minus 72. And that checks with that. So this is my answer. Okay, let's see. Just have like 2 more. 23. 56 plus 18x plus x squared. Remember at the beginning when I said you have to write them in order? Is this in descending order? Nope. You have to rewrite it in descending order. Okay, descending order. Alrighty, so now that we have that, we know that x and x are going to go first. So now we got to figure out this. Both are positive, so you can just stay with positive, right? Okay, so I'm going to cut this short because of time. So if you did all your pairs multiplied, you will see that 4 times 14 is 56, or even 14 times 4 is 56. A lot of you are going to jump right to 8 times 7. That's 56, but when added, that gives you 15. See what I'm saying? So these two, when added, give you the positive 18. Whoops. There. Okay. Let's see. I don't know if I'm even going to do that last one. Let's see. No. I'm going to stop right there. Okay? We're not going to dabble too much into section B, only because I want y'all right now, because I'm having to teach online, I just want the basics. And I think we've covered it, okay? Now, if you are still confused, you go back over this video. Pause it, Go back over it until you feel comfortable. You can even watch this video and pause while you do your homework. It'd be very beneficial to you. So I want you guys to do page 411 to 412. You're going to do even numbers. 1, 2. Hold on. Okay, you're going to do 2 through 20, even. Don't do, and I've got this one this time. Don't do 10. 14. And 20. Well, 22. It's not in your group. Okay, that's all I want you to do. Yeah, that's it. Okay, that's not even 10 problems. Okay, not even 10 problems. I'll count it as 10 so it doesn't hurt your grade, but keep in mind, 10 problems is 10 points each. So y'all really need to make sure that y'all are careful with this. Have your parent watch the video with you and check over your work or something, okay? It's due Wednesday. You have IXL that is due Monday. You have a quiz on Monday. And it appears that you're going to have a test tentatively, possibly Wednesday of next week. Okay? You're going to have a quiz. You're going to start on the review. Then I'll give you your quiz back, and then you can see how you're doing. So, yeah, the quiz is probably going to be over just 1 through 3 tests. Whenever we do that, it's going to be 1 through 4. Okay? All right. I think that's it. Make sure that you guys stay on everything. Do that IXL. It'll help. Take care.